כאפרים וכמנשה ישימך אלוהים שרה רבקה רחל ולאה כשרה רבקה רחל ולאה
Hello everyone, a Shavua Tov. As we begin a new week, we begin a new series, and this time on Blessing Children Friday night. There can't be a moment that is more beautiful for an eye that's never seen a Shabbos table than that moment when a parent blesses their children on a Friday night. And I have to admit, it doesn't stop to be beautiful. And indeed, it's an ancient custom, and allow me to quote two sources, one from Italy, one from Germany. From Italy, we go to the Ma'avarya book, a very important book by Rav Aharon Berchia di Modena, who functioned towards the end of the 16th into the 17th century. And he writes that it's an ancient minhag to bless your children Friday night, and he gives Kabbalah reasons why. And Rav Yaakov Emden, who, as everybody knows, does not hold back punches when it comes to things we do, indeed says, and I quote his words, Min hagam shel Yisrael levarecha yeladim belel Shabbat. It is a custom of the Jewish people to bless the children Friday night, and he says to do it right away when you get home, she'az chal hashefa. Then the bounty from heaven comes down, and it's a great time to do it. So what could be wrong with this custom, blessing your children? And indeed, even with this beautiful custom, which seems harmless, there is a problem. And today we'll present the problem, and through the weeks we'll go through solutions. Here's the issue. The issue is that God gave a beautiful blessing for the Kohanim to bless the Jewish people. It is a positive commandment. Kol tevarchu et bnei Yisrael lemor lahem. And indeed, every time the Kohanim duchen, they fulfill a biblical commandment of blessing the Jewish people. Not only is it a commandment upon them to bless, but the Gemara in Ksubos, Dafka says that it's an actual Isur Aseh, namely, because they have a commandment, then by corollary we have a prohibition that comes out of a positive commandment to not be like a Kohen. Very much like we have a positive commandment to live in the sukkah, which means, by definition, sleeping outside the sukkah is an Isur Aseh. So too, here, since the Kohanim have a positive commandment to bless us, there is an actual quasi-prohibition, I'll call it, that non-Kohanim do not do it. Explains Rashi on that Gemara, Kol tevarchu atem velo zarim. Kol tevarchu, you shall bless the Jewish people, the Kohanim, atem velo zarim, you and not non-Kohanim. Indeed, the Ramah paskins in Shulchan Aruch, and I quote his words, Ve'ein lazar lisa kapav. And the Mishnah Berurah bringing all these ways that maybe you could do it, perhaps with other Kohanim, maybe without a bracha, basically comes down and says, Aval Dina, at the end of the day, hiskimu achronim, most of the achronim agreed, de'ein lechalek b'zeh b'chol gavnei over b'aseh. At the end of the day, if you're a non-Kohen, and you bless with the same blessing the Kohanim bless, it's an Isur Aseh. Well, if that's the case, how is it that every Friday night we bless our children? Not, you should be successful, you should have a long life, you should marry a doctor or a lawyer. No, we say exactly the words of the Kohanim. And not just on a Friday night, you see it at a Pidyon HaBen, many times under the chuppah. And indeed, the Mishnah Berurah comes along and says he doesn't understand the minhag ha'olam, no more and no less, the custom of the world. Too, and I quote his words, Shenohagim levarech echad lechavero, ben shu kohen ben zar, be'et shemelaveh oto, b'lashon yivarechecha. When someone leaves your home and you're doing the mitzvah of lebaya, namely escorting him a few steps, you usually say, Yevarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha. How do we do it? Namely, A, is it prohibited for a non-Kohen to use the words Yevarechecha and bless another Jew? And if it is, how do we get around that and fulfill this beautiful, I would say established custom, both from Italy, from Germany, but in almost every Jewish home, to bless our children every Friday night, or at least on Erev Yom Kippur, at Pidyon HaBenz, and never did we ever hear, wait, if you're not a Kohen, don't do it. More about that, God willing, this week.
Oy Avei Hashem Yirei Elokim Anshe Yemes Zera Kodesh B'Hashem Dveikim